We're Interminable, or part of the group at least. My name's Ximena.
My name's John.
And we are a fusion group based in Philly, so we bring together lots of different musical styles. So the idea is to put them in conversation with each other and see what we get out of it. So it kind of ends up being this weird fusion-y sound that doesn't really have a specific name, but we're happy to share it with you here tonight. So I play jarana and I sing. We have a bassist, Rodrigo Pichardo, who plays bass. We have Melanie Sue, who plays cello. And then
I play drums, percussion.
All of us come from really different musical backgrounds. So I grew up on classical music and rock, but then in these last years of my life have gotten into son jarocho, which is music from Veracruz. So I bring that into the space and I help kind of write the general shell of the songs, and then the other guys are coming more from like jazz, electronic music, rock, yeah, just all those things, and just putting it in conversations with each other.
I draw from a lot of different influences. I feel I pull from world music, jazz music, and a lot of rock and roll and dance music. And they all have their different qualities that I enjoy, and I try and pull a little bit of each to mix. And I think certain things have very energetic qualities about them. Certain things have very improvisational qualities about them. Some are very melodic. Some are very just generally digestible by a lot of people. And I just try and make things accessible, but yet fun and technical, kind of at the same time.
I think you have to know each of the roots that you're pulling from really well, so that then you can draw out the really powerful parts of each thing, right? So like John was saying, like the different energies, like to me, like each music has a specific energy that's really wonderful. So it's my hope to try to put all those together and create something that's not more watered down, but instead draws strength from each one. So son jarocho is a music that comes from the Sotavento region, which is kind of southern Veracruz, Tabasco, Puebla, parts of Oaxaca. The port of Veracruz was like one of the most important port cities during the colonization when Mexico was New Spain. So there was a lot of trade between like southern Spain, West Africa. You know, slavery was very much a thing in that time, and like there was a caste system in place. So there were the indigenous communities that were already there, and then folks from Africa, and then folks from Spain, and then all of that exchange throughout the Caribbean. That music and this instrument and all of that comes from that mixing of cultures that happened at that time. And nowadays, that music exists throughout Mexico and throughout the US and even around the world. So that's why I think it's also really cool to play this instrument in fusion, because this instrument itself is fusion.
She has brought me into the son jarocho world, which I never knew about before. I was familiar with a lot of traditional Latin American styles music and Latin music in general from Europe, but in terms of son jarocho, I was not familiar with it. And I've now become a part of that community, and It's been a really fun journey, and I've met a lot of awesome people and a lot of great musicians. So for me, music is just more social. I get to talk to people and meet. I want to meet everyone in the world if I could. That's my goal, to meet all 8 billion people on this planet. So yeah, I like to, just have a lot of fun and keep it fun for everyone that's involved.
Where I'm from is what music I play, So, yo soy de México, del DF, de la Ciudad de México. But then I moved up here when I was like 8. So a lot of the like school and kind of like the educational path I took was like in the US, and was very much like I studied music, so I grew up doing classical violin, but then going home and like listening to rock, and so for me it was just, and going to school in the US too, it's just all you learn is like music from Europe or music from the US. And so it got to a point where I was like, well, how is it that I've gotten up to this point and I don't know anything about music from where I'm from, or even just any part, like Latin America has just such a wide array of really rich musical and cultural history. So for me, it just became about, okay, I need to learn more of that. But then also in learning that, I stumbled across Son Jarocho and really came to appreciate all of that world, and how it was just a different environment, where in classical music and even in spaces, some jazz spaces too, it can become like very centered on perfection, and like can become pretty elitist, and then not to say that doesn't exist at all in Son Jarocho, but in general people were just much more welcoming and much more open, and we're like, oh, like, you don't know how to play this? Like, come here, I'll teach you real quick. Or, do you need a place to crash? People were just, like, super welcoming in that sense. So I really appreciated that. And so for me, learning about this music, I knew then I had to contribute something to it, too. So for me, respecting a tradition means also you have to be honest with who you are yourself, So for me, I can't get up on a stage and pretend to be a Son Jarocho musician straight up, because who I am as a musician is so much more of that. So for me, fusion is about being able to show all of who we are.